Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Next Level Real Talk with Sheldon and David. How's it going, David?
Yeah, great to have everybody back. Hope they're listening. And as in a few back, we talked about it's that time of season. So hopefully you're talking calmly to your friends about politics and about discussing things, or maybe you're not talking to them. That's okay. But if you do, hope you're doing calm, and hopefully you're just calm and just life in general. So I hope you have those smiles on as you're coming in,
Yeah,
listening to
staying
us today.
centered in
So
the
thank you.
heart, right? Exactly.
hmm
Dropping down into the heart, out of the judging mind, into the heart, holding space for people, being calm, taking that deep breath when you need to. If things get a little
Yep.
intense, we are, depending on when you're listening to this, right on the eve of election. So
hmm
definitely seems to bring up a lot of stuff, plus all the stuff going on in the world with
And I was gonna
Middle
say,
East
just
and
yeah, and just do
Venezuela.
that naturally. Hopefully, you're doing that naturally. And if you've been doing
Yeah,
it, should help you better do
yeah,
that now. So at this
yes,
time, so yeah,
exactly.
so cool.
Hopefully that was kind of been the homework theme for a while, right?
hmm
And
Last
hopefully
couple.
that is you're finding some relief or some small interjection of a place of peace in your day when you're doing those practices, whether it's the golden sun meditation or just stop, drop, and breathe, taking the little pattern interrupts and all those things that add up to making a big difference in your life.
hmm
Um, and then as you're moving through your life, you're moving through in a different way. And I think Dave, you had some stories you wanted to share with us about. Um, what happens, I think, is you're out of your mind and your mind is always racing and, oh, I got to do this, I
hmm
got to do that, and planning. And it's a little racy for most of us most of the time. That's what we're in. But as we learn how to sort of separate from that, whether it's a practice of stop, drop, and breathe, these simple practices we've been talking about, the golden sun
hmm
meditation, prayer, contemplation, taking the time to sort of quiet the mind, the monkey mind, as they say in Chinese,
Yeah.
then inspiration, revelation, divine kind of guidance, things happen that pop into the mind because the mind wasn't so occupied with thoughts all the time. And those things can kind of pink, little things can drop in and you notice them. Whereas they
Yep.
may have been dropping in all the time, but you might not have noticed. So you had some
Yeah.
cool stories.
Yeah. So it kind of stems off of one thing. I'll talk about it a bit later, but it's a book called God Winks, Winks, like God just saying, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
Like I'll give a quick example. Like when I was teaching up in my classroom, now I'm down the library, so it's easier. But I get out to my truck and like forget my keys, and like, I get so upset, so angry. Not that it's a long time to get up there, but I got to leave my truck, go back upstairs, go downstairs, go, and so it's like this is the process. So I was kind of in that anger mode, and it's like I get up there, there's my keys, and I go to grab my keys. It's like, oh, there's something right next to my keys that I needed very importantly for that night to work on. And so it's like, yeah, you forgot your keys, but I made you leave your keys there so you go back and pick up the thing that you were totally forgetting about.
That you
Kind
really
of,
need.
it's like, yeah, it's like instead of going like, I gotta go, oh, God just says, I
I
made you
got
forget the
you,
keys
brother.
because you're forgetting this, brother. You're forgetting this part.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so, and that happened to me a couple times this week already, which is kind of funny. But let me tell you a story about last couple of weeks that as Sheldon said, you kind of your mind's racing. You're not thinking about things at times. But as I've tried to slow down my mind and kind of see things as they happen, kind of like stop and go, okay, what's going on here? Pay attention to it. Um, so I'm sitting there, and mom passed in 2018, and so it's been
Wow.
6 years.
It's
That's
already
6
been that
years.
long.
Holy moly! We
Is
both
it?
were shocked.
Wow.
That's been 6 years. Sorry, people. We just went off on a tangent because
Woo.
that was a shock. Wow, it's been 6 years.
Wow.
Um, so I'm sitting there, and um, I'm at work, and a friend talking to a friend, colleague, and my phone beeps. I get a text. I kind of look at it, and I'm shocked because it says "mom" as the name that I put in there. Some names now come up with the person's name, but this is the name that I physically put in there, and so it said "mom." I look at it, I look at my friend, and she goes, "What?" And I showed it to her, and she's like, "Whoa!" I go, "Do I open this?" It was from all it said was "mom," and I'm like, she knows mom's got it. I'm like, I go, "Okay, I'm gonna open this." I looked at it right now, like I'm scared. I was really worried about opening it, So I tap on it, and there it says XCP Cindy Raleigh's mom. Cindy is my Xavier mom that helps out with
Mhm.
a ton of stuff. So
Mhm.
it came up and just said mom, but it was Cindy. It was
Yeah.
her.
The
But I
whole
was like,
rest of it didn't show.
yeah. I'm like, well, that's weird. I actually took a screenshot of it because I wanted to keep it. Okay, what is it? I gotta know what this is in case it all blows up on me. And then I opened it. I'm like, oh, it's Cindy. And then when I went back out and came back in, it said XCP Cindy Raleigh's mom. It didn't say mom. I'm like, so why did it say it that one time?
Yeah.
And so I texted Cindy and told her, by the way, shout out Cindy, appreciate you for all you do for Xavier and stuff, and just me in general, because she always, keeps me grounded, keeps me in good talk. So it's awesome. So shout out to Cindy. Um, and I texted her and said, hey, look what happened. Your name, you actually texted me, but it came up this. And I sent her the screenshot. And, and she sent back, she's like, oh, thanks for sharing that with me. She was like, wow, that just means your mom was praying for you. I was like, and I didn't think about it that way. I was like, oh, that's what it was. That was just a mom. I mean, because that could have just come up with her whole
Yeah.
name that I put in there, and I would have never paid attention. Kept going,
Right.
but that was a stopping moment. Going, oh, mom's praying for me. Well, thanks, mom. Still not totally in tune. Um, and then my buddy Rod Houston, a couple days down the road, Rod Houston, my buddy who hired me at Highland, we reconnected. My mom was his teacher, and so his what do you call it, his clue to get his password back is my mom's name. And so who's your favorite teacher? Well, that's my mom's name, and he tells me about it all the time. And so he has never said this to me ever since I've reconnected with him, and that's since Highland. Holy moly, that was 6 years ago. Oh golly, 6 years ago. Um, and so I get a text from Rod, and it says, "I just used your mom's name for my password." I was like, "Wow." And I told him, well, that's kind of cool. Two times and within the
Yeah.
same week, it's kind of cool, kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm leaving practice and I'm heading home and I'm thinking about it now. And now I'm kind of in more of a quiet mode. Okay. Because I'm
Mhm.
driving, relaxing, and it hits me. And I started crying, not a bawling crying, but like a little tear, like, wow, thanks, mom.
Yeah.
I'm getting close to that right now. But then I realized that's just my mom saying, hey, you're okay. You
Yeah.
know, dad just passed away. I
Mhm.
mean, what, a couple months ago, and it's becoming harder. Going like, I don't have any parents,
Yeah.
which I'm 60 years old. It's okay, I get that,
Yeah.
but now the real emotional was like, I don't have any parents left, and it
There's a
was kind of
different
like that.
feeling to that when there's
Oh man,
nobody, neither one of your parents are around on the planet. Even if you didn't, like you were saying earlier, even if we didn't call them all the time, it didn't matter. They were there.
yeah, they're
There's
there.
this, even if you didn't have
Hmm.
a really tight relationship, there's a parent figure sitting there, floating off there that
Somewhere.
you know is
Hmm.
there. And then when that's gone on this planet level, uh,
Gone.
it feels different.
Yeah, and
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 you
so I was
deal with
like,
that as the loss, right? Over time.
yes,
And
hmm,
it comes up in
exactly.
waves over time,
In
over years.
different ways, different
Yep.
situations.
Yep.
And I'd been leaving work, and I'm like, okay, call dad. Oh, can't call dad because that's what I'd call him. Just call and have a quick little conversation with him
Yeah.
when I'm heading to practice or something. And so I guess that was coming up in me a little bit more than I thought. And it was just cool because that was just like my mom saying, it's okay. And
Mhm.
that's after my dad passing. So I'm reading a lot more into it than maybe I should, but that's my mom saying, it's okay that your dad has passed.
Yeah.
We're both here. You're okay.
It's
It's like saying,
beautiful, dude.
hey, it's fine. And so it's kind of being able to step back and realize some like something weird happens. Like, why is that happening? It's like, well, maybe think.
Mhm.
Don't go deep into it, but just me like me. It's like, wow, this happened. This happened. That's kind of cool. How funny. And then go, wow, I wonder how that's happening. Oh, just let it sink in and like, well, that's just mom saying, I'm gonna be okay. You're fine. You know.
Yep.
So yeah, so
I
I,
think
I love that, and just in life, it's doing that. Like I was talking about the Godwings thing, just Friday, I uh, I brought a lot of stuff from practice, and so I brought a bunch into to school to the library, like foods and stuff. Brought it in the library, and I had to go get some more stuff in my truck, and I walked out, and I keep everything in the back part of the cab, and so I open it up, and my brain's going, okay, get in the front. I'm like, if I sit in the front and the keys, I have my keys. I don't need anything else. There's nothing in the front of the car. So grab the stuff. I go back in. As I put it all down, I'm like, ugh, the iced tea is in the front of the cab. I'm like, but my brain didn't know I needed an iced tea. It was going like, dude, there's something, dude, dude, dude,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
dude, you're
It's
gonna
like
miss it, dude.
knocking on your
Like, yeah, hello. So,
hello.
and I don't get mad at those when I'm like, oh, I forgot. I'm like, okay, that was kind of I was being told, and you
Yep.
start paying attention. You know,
Yes.
so just kind of
Yes.
like just paying attention to that, not being angry at it, just going like, okay, there's a reason why I'm wait. And I went back and I go, okay, what's around this tea that I need to pick up and take with me? There wasn't.
Mhm.
It was just that I know of at that moment. And so I just like,
Maybe
okay, I
it's
just
even more. Maybe it's just the tea, but maybe it's something else, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like sometimes I'd be like going to go back up to my room. The keys were there, but there's the flash drive that I needed to
Mhm.
do the swim
Mhm.
stuff that night.
Yep.
You know, that would have killed me if I didn't do it. So
That's
yeah.
all about being present, don't you think? That talk we've talked a
Yes.
lot about that, right? Is that um that idea of future tripping where you're always planning
Yes.
ahead, you're always thinking 3 steps ahead, right? So you're not really in the moment where
Hmm.
you are, or where in guilt or shame or anger about the past. Oh, I wish my life hadn't been like this, or blah blah blah. So we're always tripping about stuff that happened in the past, or we're worried about stuff that's going to happen in the future, and we're missing
Hmm.
the moment, right? The present
Totally.
moment, right? This, what do they say? This moment is a gift. That's why they call it the present,
The
right?
present. Mhm.
That
Yeah,
saying or
exactly.
whatever. A friend of mine wrote a song about that. It was really cool.
Oh wow.
Was the past is history, the future is a mystery, this moment is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Is that what it
I
is?
love it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
you
I'm
know,
down with
you
it.
know, but that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Is,
Mhm.
you're becoming more present, even though mine's still going a little bit, which it does, but there's
Mhm.
enough awareness there to go, okay, maybe I need to stop and take a moment here. And why am I here?
And
Look around.
and
And maybe it's just to
yeah,
watch the sunset, you know what I mean? And just look out the sunset and go,
exactly.
wow, that's gorgeous, or these clouds are gorgeous, and just take a moment to enjoy where you are,
Mhm.
whatever
'Cause
that is.
you use that word, future tripping, which I love, by the way, that word. I don't love future tripping. I love the concept,
The
I think,
idea of it, it's
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
It's totally
yeah.
hilarious and cute, right?
'Cause by the way, Sheldon told me that, kinda knocked me upside the head, gave me that little DiNozzo hit
Yeah.
upside. "This you're future tripping, stop." And so I
And
had to
my
stop
Sarah
and go,
gave me that one when she was 15, which is now 32.
"Really?
She's like, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
remember
crazy."
she was like, it was they were high school kids, and they're like, "Oh, you're future tripping," and I was like, "Whoa, what is this? Never heard of that one before."
Wow. That's good, which is good, I love it.
Yeah,
And so now, and by the way, in one of my devotionals, it talks about don't worry about the future because you're not there. You
yeah,
know, worry about now. Um, and I've thought about that quite a bit, really, because you're going like I get too deep into it. And I was going like, well, you got to think about tomorrow because you got to plan, you got to prepare, but you can't. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to be tripping about it. Just say,
yeah,
hey, I got this and this and this to the future. But at one point, I wasn't stopping and enjoying today. I
yes,
stopped enjoying it. And I was
yes,
sitting there so freaked out about the past, so
yeah,
freaked out about the future. I
yep,
wasn't there going like, wow, look at that beautiful sunset.
yep,
And I was like, oh my God, it's already night. No, instead of
yep,
saying that, going like,
yep,
not that ever happened, but it's just you get to a point where you're not appreciating where you are at that moment.
yes.
And that's where
You
you have to
can't
come back to the
because your
present.
head isn't there.
Yeah. And so I think that's where that thing with mom that I talked about, and that those talking about the God wings, just looking at okay, why this is not what I normally do. Why is this here? Why am I
Mhm,
here? And
mhm,
going like there's something around here. You see something, there may be nothing. Maybe just like you said, just to sit and watch the sunset to
yep,
calm you down. Or it's like, okay, what am I missing? Oh, this pen. I forgot I needed to go write something down. I forgot this pen was sitting here. I don't know.
yep,
But I think it's huge to keep yourself aware and present of what the moment is so that you can see around you real quick what's going on. Nope, nothing that I need to, focus on here and move forward.
and
Yeah.
the Honopono where it says, where we were talking about that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, right? But
Hmm.
the attitude of thank you, right? Of having that attitude of gratitude, and that's in the moment when we can stop and be grateful for something in that moment, right? People
Hmm.
have entire practices, gratitude journals, and the idea of gratitude, and but you'll
Yeah.
notice stuff that you can be thankful for when you pay attention, right?
Yeah.
And there's that one teacher that talks about you're always paying for it. You're paying
Yeah.
attention, you're paying.
Yeah.
It's like money. You're paying. What you're focusing on, you're paying for. You're
Yeah.
giving money to
Hmm.
that thing. You're giving your energy to it, right? You're paying attention. But when you take a moment to actually just even pay attention to what's going on around you, um, oftentimes you can find those things that you can become grateful for in that
Hmm.
moment, even if it's just,
Yeah.
what, my body is strong and healthy and getting me through this journey today. And, um, whatever those little things are. I have a roof over my head. I remember one guy talking about, and I think he was from like Africa or something like that. Came into the United States, or whatever, and he was grateful for the water. You know,
Mm.
he says, I could turn on the faucet and there's water. What a miracle! Because he was in a country where you had to go get your water. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yep.
Part of your day every day was getting water. When we were in Bali, um, we lived on this little. We stayed in this place that was in the middle of a rice paddy, and it was right by a temple. And they had these water temples. They were all, the water was considered like one of their things that they worshipped, right?
Oh
Um,
wow.
and so there was all these springs. There was this natural, and because they were all very agrarian and they were farming rice, which is soaked in water, there was an entire levee system that they had of canals and channels that went through the entire island. It was like a
Mm.
UNESCO World Heritage thing, the way the water flowed through the entire island. And you can make a little dam, fill up your rice paddy, then you open the dam back up and let it flow to the next farmer. And so the entire country could be equally sharing this water. But they also had
Mm.
temples where the spring water would come up and that would be clean water. And so there we would watch these people on the little moped with the 50-gallon jug of water every day, pull up, go to the temple. They would bathe in the little temple, spring water, and they would fill their jug up and boom, and they'd drive back to their house. And I'm like, that's their drinking water for the day.
Every day. Yeah.
Every day. That's their
Every
water.
day.
That's
Wow.
what, and you're just going, wow. And that was just part of the life there. Um,
Hmm. And
and,
that's being
and
present. Yeah.
yeah, here's a funny one. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if this is on topic or what, but we had, so the little villa, the little house, they call them villas, the little house that we had a little mini swimming pool. It was tiny, but it was a swimming pool. I'm lounging by
Mhm.
the pool, and it's in the middle of a rice paddy. So there's this dude on the other side of the fence, and some of them had fences like brick wall fences. Mine had grates, so you could see right through. So
Mm,
you
right
could
through.
see the dude, and there's a dude with a hoe,
It's
turning
working.
his land.
Yeah.
It's up to his calf, mid calf in water, right? Because it's the rice paddy, and he's
Hmm.
hacking this thing, and he's turning the land all day long. You
Wow.
know, he got a big old hump on his neck and everything. He had this weird hump on the back of his head. I remember watching him, just going, "Wow, man!" And I'm laying out in the sun, feeling like this weird first world,
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
spoiled,
totally.
dude. Watching this dude hacking all day. I'm
Hmm.
like, "Oh my god!" And then one day, um, he's got a spool of wire, and his little hut, I could see the roof of it. The land changed levels, so all I could see
Hmm.
was the roof of a galvanized steel, 4 sticks, and a piece of shed, and that was it.
Hmm.
It was exposed to the elements, but that was his home. And you'd see him every day at the end of the night, start up a fire, and you could see the smoke from the fire, and he would cook something, right? And then
Hmm.
one day, he's got a little spool of wire, and he's running it along tree branches that he pokes into the ground, and the wire goes along the Y,
Mm.
and he's pop, 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 and he's making this little stand for the wire, and he's going right along my place, and he's going along, and we're in the middle of nowhere. There's only like one other house there, and he's connecting into something, and then all of a sudden, he turns on a light bulb. He's got electricity.
Oh,
I'm like, I just watched this person get electricity.
wow.
You
That's
know,
crazy. But
wow.
that's
And then,
that's
you know what?
that's
Here's the
you sitting
crazy
in the
thought.
moment
I'm
and
like,
seeing it.
where's he tapping in? Is he tapping into my electricity?
Right. Yeah.
that's
That's another question, but
that's the first thing that popped in my head. If I'm being totally honest, I'm like, hey, where the
yeah.
fuck is that guy getting electricity from? Because we would have to go down to like the equivalent of like a 7-Eleven, and you'd pay this money and you would get the code, and then you would put it into the little electrical box inside of your house, and it would give you X number of units of electricity, right?
Oh, so if
And
he's taking
there's
yours,
nothing around. I'm in the rice paddy. So I remember going, I'm like, where's he hooking up his and I'm like, don't, you're such a dick. Your brain is you're such an asshole. Like let him have his fucking one bulb of light. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's not like he's taking that much. But anyway, and then I was just like, wow, I think I just watched that person get electricity to their home for the very first time. Like
Wow.
literally. And he strung it up himself with a little wire, hooked it up somewhere, and then
Yeah.
click that night. You see
How cool is that?
you see the fire, but you'd also say bink, and you see a little glow underneath that galvanized steel. You're like, wow, man, that dude now has electricity at night.
How cool is that?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So when you talk about gratitude and being able to be grateful for small, simple things that we take for granted every day in our
Hmm.
first world lives, we don't even think about the fact that when we flip a switch, we got power, or when we flip
Yeah.
open a sink, we have water. You know what I mean? We don't even take the time to be grateful for that. And then
Yeah.
that's one of those beauties about traveling, right? When you go to other worlds, you see how other people live, and you
Hmm.
realize, wow, there's so much that we don't appreciate about the way we live our lives. That
Yeah.
air conditioning, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
can you imagine living in Arizona without air conditioning? You know what I mean?
Air goes out for one day, and we're going crazy. People
People
don't
are
have air
freaking,
for
full
life.
on freaking, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, that kind
What do
of
you mean
thing.
you can only come in tomorrow at noon? You can't come in today. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you will survive
Yeah. It's
somewhat.
okay.
I mean, I
Yeah.
understand there's extremes, but the yeah. So and there's another story I want to tell real quick. This is the one that really made me start realizing the God winks, or just to pay attention to what's going on. Um, I remember I was living in Awatuki, and I always took the I-10 into work. And one day I left left the condo, and I'm driving out, and I knew something I'd forgotten. I had to turn around and go back. I'm like, and that's even I gotta turn around, go back, get back on the road. And when traffic starts, you're like, you don't want to miss those 5 minutes because that's
Yeah.
like a
They make a
also like boom.
difference.
Yeah, it makes
Yes.
a huge
Every
difference.
minute that counts, right? Nice.
Yep. And so I was like, God, and I missed, like this is the so I get back in the truck, I'm driving, I'm on the 10, and kind of a bit cranky because now I'm in major traffic. But I'm sitting there in stop and go traffic, and I hear this rev, and it was a motorcycle that revved up, and it was a off ramp, on ramp to the US 60, so uh, kind of onto the US 60, and then people getting onto the 10, and I hear this rev, which I'm going like, okay, what's this revving sound? Because there's nobody going fast in this neighborhood because it's called freeway. I look over and I see this motorcycle trying to go in and out of traffic, trying to beat some people around, and he nips one car because he cuts in too quick, and he goes down. Motorcycle just spinning, on its side, just spinning, 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 and I'm watching the whole thing. I experienced the whole thing, and
Wow.
I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa! It's like time had stopped for like 2 seconds or
Slow
three
mo.
seconds,
Yeah.
however long it took, and I'm like, whoa! So I pull over, and uh, the motorcycle's out in the on the on ramp, so I just pull it to the side, and then I go running back to see the guy. And there were a couple people there that at that point that were behind them that were coming up, and so I was the only one that stopped that saw it from this perspective. I saw the whole thing.
Hmm.
The people that were helping him there were from behind. They didn't see where the cars were, and I
Yeah.
saw exactly what details happened. And so I was the only true witness to what
Wow.
happened. Besides the guy in the car that got nipped
Yeah.
and the guy in the motorcycle.
Yeah.
And the guy in the motorcycle was saying the other guy came at him and hit him. And so I was the one that had to sit in court and go, "This is what I saw. This guy was going slow, motorcycle revved up. I heard the rev. I've had friends that have motorcycles. My brother has motorcycles. I know what that sounds like." So I looked over to say, "Why is this happening?" And that's when he was racing in to get into traffic. So that one moment or few moments, I had to turn around, go back, get my stuff, put me at the exact spot that I needed to be at
Yeah.
for that accident.
Yep.
I mean,
I,
if I was 2 minutes earlier, 1 minute late, I wouldn't have been a part of that.
yep.
So it was exact moment timing. So that's where it kind of like going like, wow, okay. For some reason, I may not know it right now. At this, I didn't go like you said. I go pick up my keys and pick up my USB. It may be down the road. It may be 2 weeks later because of something happened. I don't know.
Yep.
So just know that there's something happening in
Yes.
this world that happened to you. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when you forget your keys, that saved you from being in an accident. That had you gotten your keys, the first, you know what I
Hmm.
mean. That minute made a difference, but
Yeah.
you don't know that because you don't see it, that kind of thing. And just being, and that's to me is sort of having faith and being in trusting space of everything's happening as it's supposed to, and
Yeah.
being open to the moment as it is, as it unfolds, right? Um,
Yep.
and it, again, it's just really simple but profound practice of being more present. In
Yeah.
each moment. I think right now, with the way the world is, um, there's so much stuff to take you out of the present moment, right? You can
Hmm.
worry about overseas, you can worry about US politics, you can worry about the economy, you can worry about everything. There's stuff that can put you into fear in any moment, right?
Hmm.
You could still be wearing your mask, being afraid you're going to get a virus or something like that, right? That there's every moment there's a possibility to freak out if you wanted to.
Hmm.
And But there's also this possibility to be in this state of grace, of presence, of feeling almost awe and wonder at the mystery of the world as it is and the beauty of it, and to be able to see that in every moment right now without having to
Mhm.
change anything, right? And how do you do that, right? You have to stop. You have to stop your mind for a split second. You have to be able to
Mhm.
drop into your heart. You have to be able to just be present with whatever's coming up and holding space for yourself and whatever's coming up, right? But
Yeah.
also that makes you more aware of everything around you, and you see it from a different perspective. You're shifting perspective just by
Mhm.
stopping your own mind, dropping into your own heart, taking a deep breath, slowing down for a moment, and then experiencing the beauty of what is and whatever
And
that is.
that's the huge part you just said right there is when you start experiencing it from a different view, which
Yeah,
is like because obviously that's like I don't want to be all stressed out and looking at it this way, but if I can slow myself down, I can say, "Oh wow, this is what's important at this moment."
yeah, yeah,
Um, I have a lot of things I got to get done in the next 2 weeks because we got
yep,
state champions in 2 weeks,
yep,
and I got a lot of things from behind the scenes, a lot of things at school, um, and so I'm kind of freaking out, but it's like, "Whoa, stop!" You
yep,
know, think it's basically doing a to-do list in your brain without doing a to-do list. You're
yep.
going, "Oh, I got all these things." Like, "Oh, stop."
It's like, what's
We'll drop
next?
in and go,
Yeah,
"What do I need to worry about right now?
right now.
This needs to be done today so that can happen tomorrow. This
Okay.
needs to be done a little bit later, but that's not the most important." So it's
Yeah.
just doing your own to-do checklist and slowing down and saying, "Let's get this done first." Yes, you got this big picture you got to worry about, but focus here
Yep.
and then get little things done at a time. Uh,
I think it helps
um,
you when you're clear like that. You see because you've shifted perspective and you've quieted your mind, you see the priorities of what's most important first,
yes.
easier. Because when your
Mhm.
mind is seeing just the whole entire list of everything, you get overwhelmed and then you
Yes.
start freaking out, right? And then you get stressed
Mhm.
and tight and then you don't think clearly. That's why I always said that this whole mindfulness practice, this whole practice of stopping, dropping and breathing, this whole practice of the 3-minute meditations doing 5 times a day, all of those things made me a better manager, made me a better leader. I
Mm.
was more effective
Mhm.
in the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about being a monk and removing yourself from society. It's about being able to bring these things into your daily life, and you become a better uh, swim
Person.
coach, teacher. You know what I mean? Because you're
Mhm.
seeing more clearly. Oh, you know what? I don't need to do that right. And so then you're more present, and then you can be more present for a student, for a coworker, a colleague when they come to you and they need you. You're present, right? Because you're not tripping about all this other stuff. And then you go, oh yeah, I need to do that. And those things can pop in too, right? You're open. All of that stuff functions better
Yeah.
when your
I love
mind is quieter.
yeah, I love how you just said that. You can be in the presence of a coworker to help them or hear them
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
instead of you're I'm stuck in my world right now. I got this, got this, got this. Like, oh, hold on, no, I got this, got this. Oh, wait a minute. Breathe.
Yeah.
Drop down, breathe, and you hear that person. And guess what? That conversation may have just helped what you were trying to get done.
Yeah.
So in some roundabout way, or they
Yeah.
may just, hey, I needed that conversation. Thank you, real
Yep.
quick.
You could
So
be there
my
for somebody.
years
And you
ago when I
don't
when
know
I
what those conversations can change somebody's life, can
yeah,
change the course and the direction of their life or that day
totally
or
that one
whatever.
moment, that
Yep.
one moment in time. I'm gonna go back. I know we're all jumping all over the place. That's kind of fun what we do here, guys. So just know we're jumping. When I retired the first time, 2018, I went back to North Dakota uh, to visit for 3 months, and going back there, my friend David Hill, Sheldon knows David Hill. He had a heart, no, he had a liver transplant and a kidney transplant, so things were not good, and he was not doing well. Um, and when he was going through that process, he owned car washes and laundromats. And when he was gone, the main employees were like, "Okay, a washing machine went down. Instead of getting rid of it, they put it in storage." So, what does Dave Hill want to do with it? Because he's the boss.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of like, and when I got back, he goes, "Here's what I'm going to pay you." I go, "You're going to pay me." He goes, "No, you're retired. You need money." Okay, whatever. And so my job was to clear out all of the storage units and clean them out. He was going to be sitting there, but he couldn't do it. He was so weak. He was so
Mhm.
tired, just getting back into life. Um, and so he goes, "I just need you to do the grunt work for me because they can't do it because they're having to work on the stores and the shops." He goes, "I need you to just come out, just help me. We're just going to go through them." And he showed them to me. And I'm looking at it going like, Oh my God, you want me to do what? I swear to you, you got the long units, you got the half, and he had it from door to door. I mean, it was I've never seen one from door to door ever in my life. He had two of those full, and I had to do this to see the end of it. I had to go over it. It wasn't like a, and then the two short ones or three short ones, whatever they were. Um, the two short ones for business and one short one for them. And so my goal was to organize them and clean them out. And I look and I go, "Hey, Mac, there's no way. There's no way I can do this, dude. In 3 months, less than 3 months." And he goes, "I got a question for you." He goes, "How do you eat an elephant?" I go, "I don't. I don't eat elephants." And he goes, "No, eat it one bite at a time."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And so that weekend they were going to baseball game with Garrett, their son Garrett. So they're going up somewhere, and I go, "No, I'm just going to stay here and kind of think about how I want to do this." So I was at one small one, and I started working through it. I started putting files here, this here, this here, this here, this here. And when they came back, because I thought about him, okay, don't worry about I was like, what goes where? I don't know what the hell goes where.
Yeah.
So now I was thinking about the whole picture. I go, no, these are these things, these are these things, these are these things, these are these things. So when they came back, it was not clear, but it was like you could see stuff. And I
Organized.
go, and so I told his wife, well, Kirsten, here, 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 here. You guys now make a decision on those piles. I'm going on to the next place. And they're just like, how did you do this? And I go, I took it one bite at a time. And I've learned to say, just slow down. And that's what we're talking about now is like,
Yeah.
instead of future tripping, like, oh, how am I going to get all these things, these storage units done? No, just take this piece, work on it, and it slowly bites away at itself and you're done. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. That what you're talking about is seeing this whole picture. We stress out, we think about the whole thing, but we need to just come down, take a breath, and go, where am I at now? And don't forget about what's going on around you, your colleagues, your
Yeah.
kids, your families, whatever it is. We tend to freak in our own mind and forget about where we actually are at the moment.
Yeah. And if we can, you know, we're next level, we can take it another level even deeper. Um, which I think happens to you naturally is this sort of surrendered space, having faith, having trust, but
Hmm.
also consciously surrendering things. Of course,
Hmm.
Miracles talks about surrendering to the Holy Spirit, right? Or surrendering to Jesus, or calling in your higher power, whatever you want to call that. Just saying, hey, calling in the angels. You know, um, uh, there are people that are very connected to the angelics and the angels, and all of them will say that you know all of this divine support is there for you, but you have to ask for it because you have free will. So you have this
Yes.
ability to say, "I'm going to suffer the way I'm suffering," or you can ask for help. Can I?
Hmm.
Can you? Can please take this? I don't need this, or whatever that is. Asking to be supported, asking for help,
Yes.
asking for guidance, asking for strength, asking for clarity, asking for relief in whatever way that is, that there is a level of that can happen. Just recently, I have a story about that. Just 2 weeks ago, I woke up and I fly all the time for work, and I woke up and Saturday night my back started tightening up on me, and it happens every now and
Mm.
then. I had it one time where I was literally in a hotel. I can't even remember what city I was in, and I was in the shower, and I'm like, oh my god, dropped the shower cloth, and I'm like, I can't pick it up. Like I'm leaving it on the ground. Like it was that bad. And so I happened to find a chiropractor in that town. I had to Google it. I'm at work. I barely got to bed. I was like, oh my God, am I going to even be able to get to work? I'm in the middle of this wherever town I'm at by myself. I don't know anybody here. I'm like freaking out a little bit, right? I'm like, all right. So I get to the chiropractor. He does some stuff, helps me out. So my back has kind of done some weird things on and off again over the years.
Hmm.
Nothing bad, but every once in a while I get tight. So 2 weeks ago, it got tight. I could feel it Saturday night and I had to get up at 3 in the morning to hit the flight. So I wake up at 3 in the morning and it's all whacked out. I'm like, oh, fuck. And Louise Hay is this woman who has the energy of healing and why your body doesn't heal, or what the message is of illness in your body. Like, oh, the pain in the
Hmm.
shoulder's related to, holding the world up, and, da, da, da. So you have this feeling of that's why your shoulder aches or whatever. She ties all these things
Hmm.
down into these sort of energetic principles. And one of them about the lower back, which I've looked at, she says, "Oh, you're feeling lack of support. You don't feel supported, so your support structure in your body hurts, kind of thing."
Oh.
And so, and I think it has to do with money too, the lower back specifically, right? So I'm sitting there Sunday morning, and it just sort of dawns on me that I haven't surrendered this. I haven't really surrendered it, right? And so uh, I have this very deep and profound love and connection with Jesus. But like I've
Mhm.
told you before, some of the church stuff I have issues with, right? The
Mhm.
doctrines of things, but the being of Jesus I feel really connected to. So I was just like, hey,
The basic piece, yeah, that's yeah.
what so I was like, hey,
Yeah. Mhm.
J man, hey brother,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
take this. I don't want it. I'm done. I
Mhm.
don't need this pain in my back. And if it's related to feeling not supported, I'm going to lean on you for the support.
Mm.
And if it's related to my feeling like I don't have financial support, I'm going to surrender that to you. I don't need this anymore. I don't want it. I'm going to give it all up to you. And
Wow.
it's making me want to cry. um, and so I had to bring a neck brace, the little neck pillow. I
Mhm.
actually, and I've never traveled. When I first traveled, I did it for my neck, but that thing's just a pain in the butt, and it's just annoying. So I never travel with it. I brought that thing and I put it on my lower back on the airplane, right? And I did take one aspirin or two aspirin, or yeah, that morning. But then I did this little thing, and the pain went away. Never came back.
Wow.
It was gone.
Wow.
And so um, I have another really funny story. This is kind of embarrassing, but I guess I'll share it. Not too many people
Yeah,
listen to this. So when I first,
they are. They're all listening.
so I got at some point in my adult life, I started to get to where I was uncomfortable um, going using a urinal.
Mhm.
I would always want to go into the private
The
little
stall, yeah.
stall. It was just weird, and I don't know where it came from because when we were in high school, you remember in our high school the
Oh
bathrooms were
my
wide open.
gosh. Okay, people, this is TMI. This is TMI, people. There were 4 toilets over here and 4 toilets over here. There was nothing in
No
between
barrier
any of it.
at
There's
all.
8 guys talking to each other
Why are you either going
while
number
you're going to the
two or
restroom.
taking a
Ah,
piss?
just
Right,
use the word
four
restroom.
urinals on one side, four stalls on the
Yep.
other, all wide open. So
Wide
wide
open.
open, like, hey, what's up? So I don't remember having a problem with that, right? So then,
No, none of us
when I
did.
was
It
in the
was just what
Navy,
it
I
is.
think, and so my thing was maybe it was in the Navy because when you would get a urinalysis, they had to watch you piss into the cup. They had to be looking at your
Oh,
dick going into the cup because guys had put a little tube underneath their cup, thing and pissed into it, right?
yeah.
So they literally had to be able to see it coming out of you
Coming
into the
out
cup.
of you.
So they're
Oh
literally
my
staring at
gosh.
you. You know what I mean? They got a little weird, right? You're just like, oh
That
my
a
god. I don't know
little.
whether
That'd be
that was the
real
start of
weird.
it, but anyway, over my adult life, I started to feel this weird thing, and it became a thing. But how
Wow.
often are you going to the bathroom? Yeah, whatever. Most of the time you're in your house, so it doesn't happen that often.
Mhm.
It's no big deal. I just dealt with it, right? Well, when I joined this team that
Wow.
I'm on, where I'm traveling every single week all over the country, I'm in airports all the time, and I am having to use these public facilities all the time. And so the first couple of weeks, I remember like, oh, yeah, waiting in the line for the stall and all this kind of crap, right? And then one day I was just like, you know what, man, I can't.
I'm
This
done.
isn't going to work. J man, Jesus, take this. I don't need this. I don't want this trauma, stress, whatever it is. I don't want it anymore. I'm going to give it to you here. And I just sort of,
Mm.
boom, went away. I've never had a problem since. Gone.
Wow.
Like that, just like no more anxiety in my chest, no more heartbeat goes. Like I would walk in there, I could feel my heartbeat change. I'd be like, oh man, I'm getting anxious. Like I would have like a little minor anxiety thing about seeing a bunch of fucking urinals, like
Wow.
you know. And I never tell anybody. That's why I'm like all embarrassed right now. I never, because it was just one of
No.
those things that was inside, in your mind, in your head, in your
Yeah.
little body, right? And then, but I was just able to the site. I was like, okay, hey, I don't want this anymore. Please take it from me. And like instantly, the second I said it, I could feel everything
Wow.
gone. I'm like, all right, walk up to the urinal, dude standing there, no problem, no anxiety, no nothing, boom. And so that was I've been on the team almost 6
Wow.
years now, so I think 6 years ago. Never had a problem since. So, I think there's real power in that surrender and giving up
Mhm.
and
I like that. Just
releasing
surrender
and
it. Yeah.
and calling in for help. And I don't,
Hmm.
whoever that is, whatever that power is for you, whatever that is, however you feel that, and if you don't, just do it anyway and see what happens.
Hmm.
Um, I
Yep.
think that that's important. That's like a level of that stuff we're talking about. I think that that's something that you carry with you all the time, Dave. So I don't think
Yeah.
you need to be conscious of it necessarily, right? But sometimes it helps to literally be conscious of it and say, "Hey,
I
you
need
know,
some help.
I
Yeah.
need some help. You know, take this for
And
me."
that's the biggest thing is calling out, saying I'm vulnerable. I need some
Yes,
help.
it
And then
feels
instead of saying I don't need your help, it's like no, I need help. And that's the thing in mental awareness. That's with
mhm,
all our swim team stuff, we do that swim for the light
yep,
for mental awareness. It's being able to say it's okay not to be okay because it used to be the
yes,
stigma. It's okay not to be okay. So it's okay to have that anxiety. You say you're embarrassed to talk about it, but it's a great story. It's your story.
yep,
I know and I understand why you could say it. You feel embarrassed, but don't be, please, because that's something that you have to deal with, and you're like, okay, I need to let this go. Help me out.
and I need some
It's
help
like
here doing that,
yeah,
and
because you couldn't do it yourself. Like, or maybe I don't know what the situation is. Can you help me in what I need to be
yep.
told, what I need to see, what I need to
Can you at
hear?
least give me peace
Help
in
me.
this moment?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then ask for the peace. Ask for, of course, Miracles has a lesson. Say, I could, would, would I rather be right or happy? That was one of the lessons. And the
Mm.
other one was I could choose
Hmm.
peace instead of this, what I'm seeing and experiencing. I
Hmm.
can choose peace, right? And asking
Yeah.
for the help and choosing that and feeling that. And then for me, this energetic boom. And I would feel this radiance drop into light, drop into my heart. And I'd feel
Hmm.
this overwhelming sense of safety and peace that didn't matter the chaos that was going on in the body shop world. I was in the shop all the time and and just craziness going on. And you just be like, "Whew, I'm okay. This is okay.
Yeah.
And everything's fine." And then
And
you make better decisions, like we were saying. You shifted your perspective and
you shift it. Yep. Hmm.
everything shifts. So,
I mean, as you were talking about, because like you, okay, so you didn't really know why you were having that anxiety of going into the restroom and into a urinal, but you knew there was something.
yeah,
And that's like at that point, it's like, I don't know what the problem is here. I don't know what's causing this, but I need to give it up. I
yeah,
need it may be, hey, Lord, I don't know what's going on, or whoever, I don't know what's going on. Please show me why this is such a problem and help me let it go.
sure.
Because once you know what the problem, you can see the problem. Oh,
Sometimes
I
you
can
need
let
to
that
see
go
it a
now.
little bit clearer. Yes.
Exactly. So just and it may hurt, who knows, to see it. But if you say, hey, oh, it was because of this, this, and this, because in the Navy they were making me pee and looking right at me. Of course I don't want
No
somebody
longer.
looking at me.
Or
So it's like, I wouldn't have made it, but I was like, nope, I'm not paying. Sorry.
so what you guys what we would all do, and this is normal, like a lot of people got tripped out by it, right? It's not normal, right? You'd
Yeah.
have to drink like 5 cups of coffee, till you had to go so bad you didn't give a shit.
Wow.
And it's like,
Just I'm
fine,
going.
here, I
Yeah.
don't care, I'm about ready to explode, you know what I mean? That's like
Mhm.
literally what we would do.
Wow.
And
Gosh, that's
the funny thing
crazy.
was they had to clean out the bathroom and inspect it to make sure you hadn't stashed anything. So the
Oh,
bathroom was actually
so
locked.
it was
And
really intense.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. At the academy, there was an officer sitting in front of the urinal, and nobody was in front of the bathroom, and no one was allowed to use that bathroom till everybody in the company had pissed and passed the
Wow.
stuff. Yeah, so it
Yeah,
was
because you don't want anybody else going in there
and
that's
planting
not being
something in
tested because
case you
yeah.
were trying to bypass it. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it was secured.
Wow. That yeah, I can tell you where your trauma came from.
Well, and then if you're like the last dude, like, hey, motherfucker, I want to use that bathroom. Somebody, is there anybody who hasn't pissed yet, man? God damn it,
Yes,
get in
I
there
need
and
to go to the
piss.
bathroom.
Oh, I'm trying, or whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's
It's kind of
crazy.
funny. Um,
But
and,
that's cool how you did that. You said, "Hey, I surrender this." It's like this shouldn't be an issue. You
yeah,
don't want it to be an issue. Help me through whatever it is.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, but I think the biggest part is if you can see what's causing that, so then you
yeah,
can release it.
yeah.
But
Sometimes
sometimes it's like you just surrender and saying, "I don't know what's going on. I need to release this. Please help me."
yes, I think there's a level of. I think that sometimes our ego mind says, "I'm in control," right?
Hmm.
And so we don't want to surrender authority, our egoic authority.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things in all the spiritual traditions to talk about, right? Is that release of the egoic mind. And when you meditate and you quiet the mind and you can see the thing, then you can connect to that, right? You see it more
Hmm.
clearly, right? You become
Yeah.
a witness to what the craziness of your mind is. But when you're, um, so a lot of people will say, hey, I surrender this, show me what I need to do so I can do it. And sometimes that can be, I'm not really surrendering it at all. I want to stay in charge. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Because
So
you're saying,
sometimes
let
it
me
can
see
be,
what
I
I need
need
to
to
do to
see it
fix
so I
it.
can know what to surrender. And that's different. But then
Hmm.
sometimes it's just like, I need to see it so I can be in control. And I'm not really surrendering anything.
Yeah.
Show me what I can do so I can fix it. And then that keeps my ego in charge and I'm fixing everything. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah.
So sometimes
Yeah.
there's a nuance there that can happen where people aren't really surrendering, and I think that in certain cases, and that's why sometimes we have to get really, really at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, right? That's when you see in the 12 steps, these people have zero, nothing. They're down to nothing. Then they
Yeah.
truly, truly surrender. And then boom, miracles happen, right? Because they
Hmm.
really are letting go on a fundamental level. Um, and then we can do that in, you can do that in little things. Like I said, some of these things I'm talking about are kind of funny and weird and almost goofy or whatever, but practicing being in that state. I think practicing being in the moment we're talking about,
Yep.
practicing being in that state, and then practicing letting go and surrendering when you need to, when you feel
Yep.
like that
Hmm.
and asking for help.
You're preaching
And
the
those,
homework. Good job.
huh?
So you're preaching the homework right now. So keep preaching.
I know.
I go, well, I'm done. Bye, guys. But
I think
Sheldon has
I'm the
become the
substitute
teacher. Whoop,
teacher
whoop.
today. Sheldon's substitute teaching. Dave's Dave's got swim, so he's busy right now. So I'm stepping in, and
That's good call. You're a substitute teacher.
I think
Because
is that feel like that's a. I think that
that's
could be
it.
it,
I'm
right?
gonna tell you exactly what I wrote down. I said, be present, open up. Okay, one, don't future trip, because that'll help make you a better person, manager, coach, teacher, lover, friend, whatever it is. And then the big one is just as you were saying, surrender and ask for help.
Yep.
So you repeat those ones that you say the way you said it, because that's so much better. I love it. Just being in the present, being in the all those. So
Yeah, as the more we can stop, especially with all the craziness going on in the world. If you can take a moment to stop, take a couple of breaths, slow your breath down, relax, be in the moment. If you can do the golden sun meditation and visualize the golden sun, I think that's really powerful. But if you can just take a few moments during your day, stop, drop into your heart, take some slow breaths, and just allow yourself to be in the moment, that really does profoundly shift your perception, your perspective, right? And you have to
mhm.
do that when things aren't totally crazy so that you understand how that tool works when things do get
When things
crazy.
do get crazy, yeah,
So it's
exactly.
important that you do that every single day and you practice it, right? You practice peace, you
Hmm.
practice finding that peace, you practice surrendering, you practice all of those things on a daily basis. So stop it, drop, breathe, right? It brings you into the present, allows you to see more clearly, allows you to make better decisions. And when things do feel like they're too much, surrendering, asking for help, letting go of the need to be the one in control, the need to be the person, the doer and the maker of things. Can I allow myself to be open to guidance, inspiration, and help? And
It's the first little step as you're talking. It's not the big things that you're trying to do the stop, drop, and breathe. It's just little things. You're like,
mhm,
okay, forgot my keys in the house. Don't
take a
get
deep
upset.
breath. Yeah,
Your breath. Oh wow, I did
100%,
that. That's pretty cool.
100%.
All it is forgetting your keys.
Yeah,
Now, eventually, it's going to build to a big situation. Like, wow, all that little bit of training, I'm now ready for.
yeah.
You know, so because
And you'd
you'll
be
do it
surprised how
naturally.
big those little things are,
Yes.
right?
Hmm. Yes.
Because
Totally.
sometimes those little
Totally.
things, they seemingly little aren't.
Hmm. And so, one big thing after what Sheldon talked about, what you're doing this week, this is what I want you to think about. Little things like if you forget your keys or if you got something, you're having to go back and change your quick 1 second routine. Why am I doing that? What's going on right here? Open up your mind to say, hmm, is there something I need to know, to do, or to see? Whatever it is. Just kind of I mean, don't freak out every time something happens. Just kind of just like, okay, is this one of those moments where I need to find something around here that what am I missing? You know,
Mhm.
so just be aware. Just other words, just be aware this week.
Yep.
Just be open to it. Be aware. So
I think
yeah,
that's a wrap, right?
yeah. And
It's the homework, and
and if you are following along step by step, we're I guess we're 2 weeks from 2 weeks from the election. So the we're hoping that you guys are getting that peace, stop, dropping,
yeah,
and breathing, through all this. So, but be in the present. But definitely be right where you are, because if you're not here, you're missing out on your life.
yeah, the beauty of the
So
moment of your
yeah.
life. Exactly.
So that's why
And
we're here, to enjoy what we're doing. It may not be exactly what we want. There's been times where I'm going like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm
yeah,
gonna experience it. This is hurting,
exactly.
but I
Often
mean,
it's like
through, yeah, through the divorce stuff, I'm like, why am I feeling this way? I don't know. I may never feel like this again. Let's just experience it. It's not something I want, but oh, that was a cool feeling. Kind of sucked, but that was kind of cool. So you got to open up to that. You're like, what the hell am I going through? Okay, so
yep.
hopefully you can do that, because that'll change your perspective, like you're talking about. Just change that whole different view of what you're doing.
And if you're following along on a weekly basis, we hopefully will have a guest next week
Yes.
who will be
Mhm.
super super interesting. So just know
Yes.
that this will be a really fun interview. I'm not going to say anything more.
Mhm.
We'll see.
I'm excited. I haven't met him
He's
yet, but I've heard
a
we've
beautiful
talked a
soul,
lot.
beautiful
So
human being,
yeah.
doing some
So
really amazing work. So
mhm.
excited for that. If that happens, we'll see.
Definitely
Um,
tune in. You're gonna really want to hear this.
yeah. So anyway, like
Yeah.
and subscribe and do all those other things. Share this with people, as I know some of you have been. So we
Mhm.
appreciate that, and hopefully, um, you have a wonderful week. And we will see you
Yep.
next time.
Have a great week. Keep that smile on.